Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're taking a pretty fascinating spatial journey together. Imagine stepping into a completely bare structural room, just concrete and framing. Well, we're going to dress it, starting from the very ground we walk on and working our way all the way up to the ceiling. Because you see, dressing a space with wood, it's not just about picking a color you like. There's this whole hidden world of material science, structural rhythms, and environmental engineering going on right behind the scenes. So let's build a room together, shall we? Okay, let's quickly look at our blueprint for today. We'll be covering the types of parquet, we'll answer the question, what is a terima? Then we'll get into floor installation, and finally, wall and ceiling coverings. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, types of parquet, specifically solid versus synthetic. Now, right off the bat, we've got to look at the main friction point here. It's the authenticity of solid wood versus the heavily engineered, super practical nature of synthetic parquet. On one hand, solid parquet is exactly what it sounds like. It's pure, solid wood pieces laid directly onto the floor. Strictly for interior use, by the way. It brings this undeniable natural warmth to a room. But then, on the other hand, synthetic parquet is honestly a marvel of modern manufacturing. It's built on a high-density fiberboard, or HDF, base. Basically, they take wood fibers, compress them under extreme heat and pressure with resins, and create a core that gives the board incredible, rigid strength compared to natural wood. I mean, it doesn't dent or warp easily at all. Plus, it uses this clever mechanical click system for super fast assembly. It's got a highly durable plasticized protector on top that perfectly mimics wood grains, and crucially, a waterproof layer right on the bottom. So it's really traditional craftsmanship going head-to-head with high-tech, highly durable engineering. And, even within solid parquet, there's a ton of aesthetic and structural variety. Just take a look at the difference here. On the left, we've got strips, or battens. These are individual, straight-edged pieces of wood glued directly down to the floor. They're often arranged in beautiful, complex geometric patterns, kind of like this checkerboard design. But then over on the right, we have your standard tongue-and-groove boards. This is where the pieces physically interlock with one another, creating a much tighter integrated fit. So what if you want the real-deal authenticity of solid wood, but you also want the stability and cost-effectiveness of an engineered board? Well, you get this, multi-layer parquet. It is fascinating how this perfectly balances cost and quality. It uses a top layer of genuine, noble hardwood, but it's only about 3 to 4 millimeters thick. Just to put that into perspective, noble wood refers to those premium species like oak, walnut, or mahogany, the really expensive stuff. This thin, precious layer sits right on top of a much more economical plywood or standard softwood base. And here's the genius part. Because the base materials are laid with their grains running in opposite directions, the whole plank becomes highly resistant to expanding and contracting. You literally get the exact look and feel of solid wood on the surface, but it's engineered for maximum structural stability and incredibly smart material usage. Moving right along to Section 2, what exactly is a terima? Let's talk about elevated wood boards. Okay, so the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is the elevation. A terima isn't just laid flat on the ground. It's actually defined by wooden boards that are raised up on a substructure of battens. And this isn't just some random guesswork. Those supporting battens have to be spaced precisely 30 to 40 centimeters apart. Why? To give it the exact structural integrity needed to support a person's weight without sagging or bouncing. Now, while terimas are great indoors, they are incredibly popular for outdoor spaces. Take a close look at the visible spacing between the boards next to this pool. Those gaps aren't a mistake. They are absolutely mandatory for outdoor installations. They actually serve two vital purposes. First, they let rainwater drain away instantly so it doesn't pool on the surface. And second, they give the wood room to physically expand and contract as the seasons and temperatures change. Because it's constantly out there facing the elements, baking in the sun, freezing in the snow, getting pounded by rain, an exterior terima demands some seriously robust materials. I mean, you definitely cannot just throw down standard indoor pine here. It would literally rot away in a single season. Instead, you need naturally resistant tropical wood, which is naturally packed with oils to repel water. Or you could use chemically treated wood designed specifically to resist decay. Then there's this fascinating modern solution called technological wood. It ingeniously mixes natural wood fibers with highly durable synthetic resins. The result? You get the beautiful, textured look of real timber, but with the total weather resistance and zero maintenance profile of an advanced polymer. No splintering, barely any fading, and it handles the great outdoors flawlessly. All right, that brings us to Section 3, floor installation. Let's talk about how we actually anchor these materials to the space. So for synthetic and multi-layer parquets, we typically use the floating floor method, and floating floors come with some pretty strict technical rules. The term floating is quite literal here. You do not glue or nail this flooring down to the ground. It simply rests on top. First, you have to lay down a super thin 2 to 4 millimeter layer of polypropylene. This sheet is absolutely vital. It acts as an acoustic dampener, so your footsteps don't echo through the house, and it's a crucial moisture barrier, blocking any dampness from rising up out of the concrete subfloor into your nice new wood. Once that's down, you layer interlocking boards across the room. But here's the kicker. You finish with a non-negotiable rule. You must leave exactly a 1 centimeter expansion gap between the wood and all walls, columns, basically any fixed obstacle. Now, you might be wondering why that 1 centimeter. Well, because wood breathes. It absorbs humidity from the air and physically grows. If we were to push the wood flush against the wall, the moment it expanded, it would buckle and warp right in the middle of the room. So we leave that 1 centimeter gap to let the floor do its thing, and then we cleverly hide that architectural necessity by installing a decorative skirting board right over it. It's really the perfect blend of structural engineering and interior design. But installation is a whole different ballgame for our elevated terremas. Since they sit up on battens, these boards aren't just glued down or left to float. They have to be mechanically anchored. You can nail or screw them down, sure, but very often they're securely fixed to those level battens using specific metal or PVC clips. And these clips are incredibly clever. They're designed to be completely hidden, slipping seamlessly right into the grooves between the boards. This gives you a beautiful, unblemished aesthetic from above while ensuring absolute stability. Plus, it still allows the individual boards to shift just a tiny bit with the weather. Okay, so our foundation is firmly in place, and our floors are fully installed. Awesome. But what about the walls and ceiling? Let's shift our gaze vertically and complete the envelope of the room. This brings us to our final part, Section 4, Wall and Ceiling Coverings. Time to look at vertical spaces. Looking at our options here, it's pretty clear that the specific environment totally dictates the material we need to choose. For cozy interiors, we have softer, more decorative options like varnished MDF, veneer chipboard, and solid wood. Then there are specialized boards like magnesite. Magnesite is basically this highly fire-resistant mineral board made specifically for ceilings, giving you both safety and a super clean finish overhead. But I want you to notice the crossover materials at the bottom there, HPL and fiber cement. HPL stands for high-pressure laminate. They make it by saturating layers of craft paper with resin and then fusing them under intense heat and pressure. The result is this incredibly dense, highly durable material. Because HPL and fiber cement are just so ridiculously resilient against moisture and physical impacts, they perform flawlessly whether you use them on a high-trafficked interior accent wall or as tough, weather-beaten cladding on an exterior facade. Now, when we actually go to attach these panels to the wall, the structural rhythm changes from what we saw down on the floor. For wall installations, the supporting battens behind the panels have to be spaced exactly every 60 centimeters. Once you have that 60-centimeter skeleton up on the wall, your chosen interior panels can be nailed, screwed, glued, or even hung directly right onto them. But remember, folks, the environment always wins in the end. Just like with our exterior terrema floors, if you are cladding an exterior wall with wood panels, you absolutely must leave expansion gaps. The golden rule of the outdoors applies everywhere. You have to let the material naturally react to the sun, the rain, and the changing weather without letting it fight against itself. Ultimately, bringing a room to life is this delicate, really beautiful dance. It's about choosing incredible aesthetic finishes, for sure, but doing so while strictly adhering to the spatial and environmental rules of the wood. From that invisible 2-millimeter polypropylene underlayment protecting your floating floor, all the way to the precise 60-centimeter spacing of the wall battens holding up your ceiling, it is all deeply connected. We are quite literally surrounded by these brilliant, invisible systems every single day. So I want to leave you with this thought. Next time you step into a beautifully finished, freshly renovated room, will you just see the color of the wood, or will you look down and wonder if that floor is floating? Will you look at the facade and realize those exterior walls are literally breathing? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking closely at the spaces around you.